With me today is Gary Shoffstall, Chief of the Buffalo District's Emergency Management Office. Gary, what is the mission of your office as it relates to disasters such as 9/11?
9/11 was a disaster of national consequence, and when that happens, the Corps plays a role in support of FEMA, basically in the public works and engineering realm. What made 9/11 different from our other national disasters, however, was that it was being treated as a crime scene. This just wasn't a simple debris cleanup or restoration of public utilities. Everything that happened on that site was dictated by the law enforcement agencies that were there on that day.
You were in the Buffalo District on 9/11, at the time of the attacks of the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. Can you describe what the mood was as the reality of what happened sunk in?
I think as the first plane struck, everyone thought it was a tragic accident. Nobody realized what was really going on until the second plane hit the World Trade Center towers, the third plane hit the Pentagon, and the fourth plane went down in the fields in Pennsylvania. I think it was shock, dismay, anger, and of course the sympathy for the victims of the accident and the people that were killed.
What role did you and your office play during the events on and after 9/11?
My office also serves as the Emergency Operations Center for the district. As soon as we realized what was going on, we became the focal point for trying to get all the information sorted out all the rumor, the stories going around, get the true ground truth picture of what was going on. We also were the focal point for all the action in the office. The first thing we needed to do was account for all of our personnel. Where was everybody? The people that were in the field, we needed to contact, recall them back to the office. I also then had select personnel go out onto our perimeter with radios to let me know if there's any suspicious activity in the neighborhood. We contacted the Buffalo Police. They set up a perimeter around our office. They secured the upper parking lot. They even closed off Hamilton Street so that there was no traffic coming down towards our reservation or even getting up onto the expressway. So basically, we went to 24/7 operations. We ran around the clock and we tried to filter all the fluff, get down to the truth, and protect our own personnel.
When you deployed to the World Trade Center site post 9/11, what did you see and experience? What was the mood like?
I arrived in New York City on the 14th. Basically, the city itself was in lockdown. There was no way to get into the city unless you passed through a series of roadblocks. My mission there was to try and reconstitute the North Atlantic Division office. When the World Trade Center towers collapsed, they severed most of the communication networks in the area. The mood was probably restrained. A lot of people were concerned. Obviously, they didn't know that the event was over. Nobody knew the event was over. They kept waiting for the next thing to happen. But they were determined. They were, of course, talking about what should be the next action that our country should take in retaliation. But for the most part, they were reserved, they were respectful, they wanted to maintain a certain level of society, I guess. And to a great part of that is Mayor Giuliani's efforts. He seemed to be everywhere, and he tried to make sure that the city did not fall into chaos. And I think he was a major role player in establishing how the city should react to this disaster.
When you visited Ground Zero after 9/11, what did you see? What did you experience?
The streets were clogged with a lot of roadblocks trying to control people getting to Ground Zero just to be a spectator, a visitor. So we approached the area from water. We came in at the Winter Gardens complex, and as we walked in, I began to realize we were walking up on a pile of pulverized debris. And by the time we actually got to the World Trade Center Plaza, we were probably standing on a 3 to 5 foot thick layer of just pulverized debris. A lot of the first responders were working on the pile, desperately trying to find survivors. Every once in a while, though, they'd all come to a stop. They'd all stand at attention, and a stretcher would be carried out with, obviously, human remains in it. It's hard to describe the devastation in the area. I mean, the complete, absolute devastation of everything that was there. I was struck by the paper that was all over the place. There was paper in the fire escapes, paper in the windows, paper all over the place. It sort of reminded you of the fact that these were office buildings. These were civilians doing their day-to-day job, and they were attacked without warning. And 3,000 of them lost their lives on that day. It was a very emotional scene.
How has your 9/11 experience changed your life or your worldview?
I think it's fair to say that the world as a whole has changed as a result of the events that happened on September 11th in 2001. I think on that day, the world became aware of a cancer in our society, and now we have to deal with it.